ICE can now make arrests at places that were previously off limits, like churches and schools, and large-scale deportation efforts may soon start in major cities. Under the Trump administration, expedited removal and workplace community raids allow deportation without court orders. All immigrants, regardless of status, may face risk. If you or someone you know could be impacted, here's a guide to your rights in different scenarios. All of this information was provided by the ACLU. Scenario number 1. What do you do if law enforcement asks about your immigration status? Here are your rights. You have the right to remain silent. You don't have to discuss your immigration status. Another right. You can refuse consent to searches. You can carry your papers if you're over 18. If you don't have them, remain silent or ask to speak to a lawyer. Scenario number 2. What do you do if you're stopped by the police or ICE? Here's how to protect yourself. Stay calm, memorize family and lawyer contact info, make emergency plans for kids or medical needs. Here are your rights. You have the right to remain silent and to refuse searches. If arrested by police, you have the right to a free lawyer. If detained by ICE, you can hire a lawyer but won't be provided one for free. What do? You say, I want to remain silent and speak to a lawyer. Do not sign anything without a lawyer. Give your immigration number, so a number, to a trusted person to help locate you. Scenario number 3. What do you do if the police or ICE are at your home? Here's how to protect yourself. Stay calm, speak through the door, and keep it closed unless they show a valid judicial warrant. Here are your rights. You don't have to let them in unless they show a judge-signed warrant. Please understand that a deportation warrant doesn't allow entry without consent. Here's what you do. Ask to see a badge and a warrant. Inspect it through the door or window. Do not open the door. If agents force entry, state, I do not consent to your search. I wish to remain silent. Scenario number 4. What do you do if you need a lawyer? Here are your rights. If arrested, you have the right to call a lawyer or family. You have the right to have a lawyer at your immigration hearings. Here's what you do. If detained, ask for a list of free or low-cost legal help. Do not sign anything without consulting a lawyer. Scenario number 5. What do you do if you're detained near the border by Border Patrol? Here are your rights. You can stay silent and ask for a lawyer. Border Patrol needs reasonable suspicion to detain and probable cause to arrest. At checkpoints, agents can ask about immigration status but cannot detain you without cause. Here's what you do. If facing expedited removal, ask why. If you fear persecution in your home country, tell them right away. 6. What do you do if you're stopped while in transit, like a car, bus, train, or plane? Here are your rights. Drivers and passengers can remain silent. Passengers can ask to leave if stopped. Border Patrol can board buses and trains near borders but must have reasonable suspicion for prolonged stops. Scenario number 7. What do you do if you're detained during an immigration case? You have rights. You may be eligible for release on bond or other conditions. You can call a lawyer or family member and have a lawyer with you in immigration hearings. Here's what you do. If you're denied release, ask for a bond hearing before a judge. Scenario number 8. What do you do if you're arrested and need to challenge a deportation order? Here are your rights. You have the right to a hearing unless you waive it or sign a stipulated removal order. You can also hire a lawyer or request time to find one. What do you do? If you fear persecution or torture in your home country, tell an officer and contact a lawyer immediately. Here are 5 additional steps to protect yourself provided by the National Immigrant Justice Center. 1. Get legal help. Contact a licensed lawyer or trusted organization. 2. Make a safety plan. Share emergency info and childcare plans with loved ones. 3. Organize documents. Keep IDs, financial records, and residency proof safe. 4. Avoid fraud. Trust only licensed professionals for legal advice. 5. Be aware of scams. Watch out for fake calls or requests for money. Stay vigilant, stay safe, and spread the word. Also, please do not forget to join your local organizations like Legalization for All that has a nationwide network that is fighting against any reactionary immigration legislation, any reactionary immigration policies. They are there, ready to fight. Hey, beautiful people, I know we've seen a lot of headlines saying the president signed a new executive order banning whatever the newest culture war phenomena is. And I know you're probably wondering, what is an executive order? What does it mean? Well, don't worry. I'm here to explain it to you. Let's get into it. First off, an executive order is like a to-do list item the president gives to the government. It's a written set of instructions that says, hey, government, here's what I need you to do. And I know you're probably wondering or thinking that the president is just writing these laws left and right, but let's slow down a minute. An executive order is not the same as a law. It's more like a shortcut to get certain things done within the Congress rules that have already been set. Okay, so how powerful is an executive order? They're pretty powerful. It can make big changes like how government agencies operate or what policies they follow, but And this is a big but, okay? Executive orders only work as long as they stick to existing laws and the Constitution. That means the president can't just write an executive order that says everyone that disagrees with me will be stripped of their citizenship. That's just not how it works. And here's another fact. Laws are like the king of the castle, and executive orders are more like knights. They're important, but they don't outrank laws. Congress writes laws, and if an executive order breaks one of those laws, guess what? The courts can step in and say, not happening. And now that brings us to the limits of executive orders. If an order goes too far, like trying to invent a new law or doing something unconstitutional, judges can strike it down fast, like they did when Trump tried to ban TikTok through executive order. In addition, if a new president doesn't like an old executive order, they'll cancel it. It's like saying, I don't like this rule. Let's try something else. Okay, so let's just do a quick little recap. 1. An executive order is a tool the president uses to give instructions to the government. 2. It's powerful, but not as powerful as a law. 3. It has to follow the rules set by Congress in the Constitution. 4. And if it oversteps, the courts or a new president can just cancel it. So just remember, executive orders can sound a little scary, but most of the time they're just paper tigers that'll blow away in the wind. Jamie Dimon, the billionaire CEO of JP Chase, made a statement that didn't sit well with many working class people. He told us to get over it when it comes to the higher prices we would soon face because of new proposed tariffs. The CEO, who's made billions, stated plainly, quote, I would put it in perspective. If it's a little inflationary, but it's good for national security, so be it. I mean, get over it, end quote. These potential new tariffs are set to start on February 1st under President Donald Trump's proposed plan. The tariffs would add a 10% fee to a wide range of products imported from China, including things like computers, phones, and TVs. That means the price of many things that we enjoy are about to go up, since the strain of tariffs are usually passed to the consumer. A lot of the electronics Americans buy come from China, and these would be hit hard. Phones, laptops, and tablets would cost more because of the new tariffs. In fact, last year, the United States imported more than $400 billion in products from China, with a large portion of that being electronics. While billionaires don't think that the price increase would be a big deal, we know that as working class people, our wallets are already stretched too thin. Some companies might try to absorb the higher costs for a little while, especially if they had stockpiled items before the tariffs kicked in, but many businesses, especially smaller ones, would have no choice but to raise their prices. That means things like toys, jewelry, and sporting equipment would also cost more. As February 1st is approaching, we will see what tariffs Trump places on countries like China, Mexico, and Canada. My advice to these billionaires is to stay out of working class people's business. These won't affect your wallet, but it will surely affect ours. This isn't just about paying extra, it's also a reminder just how disconnected the small billionaire population is from the rest of us. So who is Ross Ulbricht, the owner of Silk Road who was just pardoned by Trump? Ross, once known as the Dread Pirate Roberts, was the mastermind behind Silk Road, a notorious online marketplace where users could buy illegal drugs, hire hitmen, and engage in other dangerous illegal activities. Operating in the hidden corners of the internet, Silk Road was one of the most infamous platforms on the dark web, where being anonymous was king and Bitcoin was a currency of choice. Despite being sentenced to life in prison without parole in 2015 for running this illegal empire, Ross is now free to walk the streets after receiving a presidential pardon from our law and order president, Donald Trump. Ross launched Silk Road with the goal of creating a completely anonymous marketplace where people could trade anything they wanted without government interference. Think dangerous illegal drugs available at the click of a button. Silk Road used Bitcoin to make transactions harder to trace and operated on the dark web, making it invisible to most internet users. As the site's founder, Ross took on the alias Dread Pirate Roberts. He viewed Silk Road as an experiment in freedom, but law enforcement saw it as a hub of criminal activity. Investigators eventually tracked him down by linking online posts and emails to his real identity. In 2013, they arrested him in San Francisco at a library while he was actively managing the site on his laptop. During his trial, prosecutors showed evidence that he not only ran Silk Road, but also allegedly tried to pay for murders to protect his operation, though no killings ever occurred. While he wasn't charged for murder, this evidence influenced the court's decision to impose a harsh sentence upon him. In 2015, he was convicted of running a massive drug marketplace, money laundering, and other crimes. He was sentenced to double life imprisonment plus 40 years with no chance of parole. The court said that the harm caused by Silk Road, especially by enabling widespread drug sales, was significant. But 10 years after his sentencing, he is granted a pardon by none other than President Trump. The decision to pardon Ross has left many questioning Trump's stance as the law and order president. Trump ran on being tough on crime, but here he is allowing criminals to roam free. So I've got to ask, can he truly be the law and order president if he allows drug traffickers to run our streets? Netflix's latest price hike is a major letdown for people who signed up for streaming to save money. When streaming services started to take off, many people cut their cable subscriptions because they thought they could get the same entertainment for less. But now, Netflix is raising its prices again, and it's hard not to feel like they're just turning into the same old cable companies that try to leave people behind. The prices for Netflix's plans are going up across the board. The standard ad-free plan is jumping from $15.49 a month to $17.99 a month, while the cheaper ad-supported plan is going up by $1 from $6.99 to $7.99. Even the premium plan is getting a price hike, going from $22.99 to $24.99. It doesn't stop there. Netflix is also cracking down on password sharing, forcing users to pay extra if they want to share their account with family members. The cost of adding extra members to accounts is going up too, from $7.99 to $8.99 for a month for the standard plan. This all feels like a slap in the face for people who switch to streaming services to avoid expensive cable bills. Netflix used to be the affordable option for entertainment, but now it's just another example of a company raising prices without giving users much in return. The whole point of cutting cable was to save money, but with these new price hikes, Netflix is starting to look just like another expensive subscription service. It's frustrating because people trusted Netflix to keep things simple and affordable, but instead they're raising prices, pushing ads, and charging more just to share with family. For many, it's starting to feel like the streaming dream is over and we're right back to where we started, paying high prices for TV. Donald Trump just signed an order canceling a decades-old rule that supported diversity and fairness in hiring within the federal government. The move gets rid of rules that help make sure that people of different races, religions, and backgrounds had fair and equal opportunities in federal jobs and contracts. It also sends a message to businesses that diversity programs could be targeted next. The rules Trump canceled date back to 1965, when President Lyndon B. Johnson created them. Johnson's order came after the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and just months after the Voting Rights Act, both of which aimed to end discrimination. Johnson's order required companies working with the government to treat all workers fairly and make efforts to hire people of color and women. It was meant to address deep inequalities in the workplace. Trump's new order stops federal agencies from using programs that prioritize diversity, equity, or inclusion. It also tells agencies to investigate companies, schools, and organizations with diversity programs for possible legal action. Many companies had already started cutting diversity programs after facing pressure from conservative groups. Trump's order is likely to push more businesses to back away from these efforts because they're cowards. Trump's decision undoes a civil rights tool that had been in place for nearly 60 years, leaving many worried about the future of fairness and equality in our workplaces.